A sudden gush of water inside your home is a moment that can send a jolt of panic through anyone. The sound of a bursting pipe or water rapidly pooling across a floor demands immediate action. The most powerful tool you have is not a wrench, but a calm, focused mind. Stop the flow of water. Do it quickly. Know how to shut off your home's main water supply. That knowledge turns catastrophe into a manageable inconvenience. Before damage spreads, before floors warp, before ceilings sag, take control. This is your guide to doing that calmly and effectively in under a minute. Water causes devastating structural damage fast, soaking into drywall, subflooring, insulation, and leading to mold and mildew. Facing a ruptured washing machine hose, a split pipe in a freezing crawl space, or an overflowing fixture that won't quit, shut the water off at the source first. Your home's water meter is the gateway for every drop of water that the city supplies to your property. It not only measures your consumption for billing purposes, but, more importantly, it houses the primary shutoff valve for your entire plumbing system. Locating this meter is the first critical step in your emergency preparedness plan. In many homes, especially in regions with colder climates, the water meter is located inside. The most common indoor location is the basement or a crawl space, typically situated on the wall that faces the street. Look for a large pipe, usually copper or PVC, coming through the foundation wall. The meter, a device with a dial or a digital display, will be installed along this pipe. If your home is built on a slab foundation or is in a warmer climate, the water meter is likely located outside. The typical spot is in an underground box near the front curb or the sidewalk, close to the edge of your property line. These meter boxes are usually made of concrete or plastic. They have a heavy metal lid or a composite lid. The lid will often be stamped with the word water or the name of your local utility. You might have to scan your front yard carefully, as these lids can sometimes become covered with grass, mulch, or dirt over time. Once you find it, you will need a tool, like a large screwdriver or a pry bar, to lift the heavy lid safely. While the meter valve inside or near your home is your first line of defense, there is another, more powerful shutoff point: the curb stop. This is the valve that controls the flow of water from the city's main line to your property's service line, effectively stopping the water before it even reaches your meter. The curb stop is almost always considered the property of the water utility, but in a severe emergency where your primary meter valve fails or is inaccessible, knowing its location and how to operate it can be a lifesaver. This valve is your ultimate backup. Its location is almost universally standardized for easy access by city crews. To find the curb stop, head out to the edge of your property, near the street or sidewalk. Scan the area between the curb and your property line for a small, round metal lid, rectangular metal lid, similar to but often smaller than the water meter box lid. In some areas, it might be a vertical cast iron pipe with a cap on top. This access point is often called a curb box, buffalo box. The lid can be pried open with a large screwdriver. Looking down into the pipe or box, you may need a flashlight to see the valve operator nut, which is located several feet below the ground, connected to the water line itself. The curb stop valve is not designed for frequent use by homeowners and looks different from the valve at your meter. Instead of a wheel handle, lever handle, you will see a simple operating nut. This nut is usually a two-sided nut, T-head nut, five-sided pentagon nut. It requires a special long-handled tool to turn it. This tool is known as a curb key, T-handle wrench. It is a long metal rod with a handle at the top and a socket at the bottom specifically designed to fit the operating nut. Without this specific tool, it is nearly impossible to operate the curb stop. Because the curb stop is utility property, you should exercise caution. In a non-emergency situation, call the city to operate this valve. However, in a true emergency, such as a ruptured line between the street and your house, you may have no other choice. It is wise to know its location and consider purchasing an inexpensive curb key to have on hand. Check with your local water department about their policies regarding homeowner operation of the curb stop. Some utilities discourage it, while others understand the need for it in an emergency. Being informed is part of being prepared for any eventuality. So, keep that in mind. Having the correct tools on hand and easily accessible is paramount when a water emergency strikes. Fumbling through a cluttered toolbox, a messy garage, while water is actively causing damage is a scenario you want to avoid at all costs. The beauty of this particular task is that the required tool set is small, inexpensive, specific. Your primary kit should be kept in a designated, easy-to-find spot, perhaps in a small bag or box, near your indoor water meter, or just inside your garage door. When a pipe bursts, time is of the essence. Follow these clear, sequential steps to shut down the water supply at the meter, your first and fastest option. First, put on your gloves, safety glasses, flashlight, wrench. Proceed directly to the water meter's location, which you have already identified. If it is outside, use a screwdriver or pry bar to carefully lift the heavy lid off the meter box. Be mindful of insects or debris. Once open, shine your flashlight inside to get a clear view of the meter and the valve on one side and the valve on the other side of it. Your target is the valve on the house side of the meter, the one between the meter and your home. Now, focus on turning the valve to the off position. If you have a round wheel-like handle, a gate valve, turn it clockwise. Remember the old saying, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Turn the handle firmly and steadily to the right until it stops. Do not apply excessive force or try to jerk it, as old valves can be brittle. If you have a straight lever handle, a ball valve, it is in the on position when it is parallel to the pipe. To turn it off, you simply turn the lever a quarter turn so that it is perpendicular to the pipe. This provides a clear visual confirmation that the valve is closed. If you cannot operate the meter valve, or if the leak is located between the meter and your house, you will need to use the curb stop. Take your curb key and a screwdriver to the curb stop box at the edge of your property. Pry open the lid and use your flashlight to locate the operating nut deep inside the access pipe. Lower the socket end of your curb key down into the pipe and fit it securely onto the nut. You may need to wiggle it slightly to get it to seat properly. Once the key is engaged with the nut, you will turn it clockwise to shut off the water. It may take several full rotations to close completely. After you have turned either the meter valve or the curb stop, you must verify that the water is actually off. Go back inside the house and turn on a faucet, preferably one on the lowest level, like in a basement sink or an outdoor spigot. You should see the flow of water slow to a trickle and then stop completely as the remaining water drains from the pipes. If water continues to flow at full pressure after a minute, your attempt was unsuccessful. You may need to recheck that you turned the valve completely or troubleshoot a stuck valve. In a perfect world, your water shutoff valves would turn smoothly every time. However, these valves often sit untouched for years, even decades. They can become stiff or seized. Corrosion, mineral buildup, simple disuse. If the meter valve will not turn, meter valve stuck. If the curb stop will not turn, curb stop stuck. First rule, don't panic. Second rule, don't apply brute force. Don't use a cheater bar. Don't rely on excessive torque. Forcing the valve can break the valve stem. That turns a simple shutoff into a complicated, expensive repair. It can make the leak worse. Use firm, steady pressure, not sudden jerks. For a stuck wheel-style gate valve at the meter, try turning slightly counterclockwise, as if to open just a fraction of an inch. That can break the corrosion seal. Then turn clockwise to close. If that fails, gently tap the valve body, not the handle. Use a hammer or the back of your wrench. The vibrations can dislodge mineral deposits. If you have penetrating oil like WD-40 or PB Blaster, spray at the base of the valve stem and give it several minutes to soak in. If the curb stop operating nut is the problem, it's harder because it's deep. The main tool is leverage. Make sure the curb key is seated on the nut. Reposition the key for a better angle if needed. Apply steady, firm downward pressure as you turn clockwise. Downward pressure keeps the key engaged. If it still refuses to move and water is actively flooding your property, stop and call emergency assistance. Your local water utility has specialized tools and trained personnel. Once the emergency has passed and the necessary repairs have been made, it is time to turn your water supply back on. This process should be done slowly and deliberately to prevent damage to your plumbing. A sudden surge of high-pressure water, known as water hammer, can rattle your pipes, stress the joints, and even cause new leaks. Before you turn the main valve back on, make sure that all the faucets inside your house are closed, except for one. Leave a single faucet, preferably a bathtub tap without an aerator, open about halfway. Go back to the valve you closed, either the meter valve or the curb stop. Using the appropriate tool, turn the valve handle or nut counterclockwise very slowly. You should hear the sound of water beginning to flow through the pipe. Only open the valve about a quarter of the way at first. Let it run in this position for a minute or two, listening for the sputtering at your open faucet inside. As the sputtering subsides and a steady stream of water begins to flow, you can gradually open the main valve the rest of the way until it is fully open. Once the main valve is completely open, go inside and let the open faucet run for another minute until the water is clear and free of air. With the water pressure restored, your job is not quite done. Now you must perform a thorough check for any leaks. Walk through your entire house and visually inspect every fixture: toilets, sinks, showers, the water heater, washing machine, dishwasher. Look for drips and listen for the faint sound of running water. Go back to your water meter and look at the dial. Most meters have a small low-flow indicator, often a small triangle or star, that spins even when a tiny amount of water is moving. If all your faucets are off and this indicator is still turning, it means you have a leak somewhere in the system.